Hi there, Malcolm here for my 337th Booktube video, and today I'll be bringing you a review for The Far Side Gallery 5 by Gary Larson, containing cartoons from Cows of Our Planet, The Chickens Are Restless, and The Curse of Madam C. And I've definitely read The Chickens Are Restless, so although I've not read this volume before, a third of the cartoons I would have seen before. And unintentionally, this is somewhat topical because this has a foreword by the recently departed Jane Goodall. The world is a much poorer place without her in it. And I like the title to the video. I'm not actually going to really review this. Each volume of Gary Larson is pretty much on par with any other volume. You either like him or you don't. I'll leave a link to the other videos I've done for the other 4 books below. Do go check out number 1 particularly, because that's where I do go into a bit more depth about Gary Larson and his humour and all the rest of it. Whereas for the rest, I basically just flipped through the book and read out the highlights to you, the ones that I thought were particularly good. So, on many of these recurring cartoons do feature a recently deceased King Kong. I think in fact an example of this in every one of his galleries, but in this case it's just the chalk outline of where he landed. And I'll refer to that one again later on, because I know there's a cartoon further on which plays on that joke once more in a different way. I like this one. Harry never knew what hit him. An alien lands, gets out, punches him in the face and flies off. Never a truer word was spoken. Another hugely recurrent theme is the desert island and the survivors upon it. Here we got a couple with an entire orchestra, and one turns to the other saying, "Care to dance, Miss Hollings." But what tickles me slightly more is hot off the press, the very first edition of the Desert Island Times caused the newspaper to quickly fold. And so they're on an island with a printing press and presumably enough paper to do it, with the headline, "Ned is a whiner." Brilliant. Another desert island, or 2 this time, where one has a washed up Acme catapult. Brilliant. And if you watched my previous videos, you know I've got a slightly sick and twisted humour, which is why this one particularly tickled me. "Okay, Mum, you'd said you'd warned your husband to put the newspaper down or you blow him away. Did he respond?" It's a crime scene, there's a big hole in the newspaper, a smoking shotgun on the floor, and a body in the background. No, I don't think he did respond. And another murder mystery. It's the annual Butlers Convention, and one of them's been stabbed in the back. The butler did it. And many of you might identify with this one. It's the Angel of Migraines. It's not the Angel of Death, it's the Angel of Migraines. Basically wears a pair of boxing gloves, and the poor lady, you can see just in the window there, is holding her head in agony. And having suffered a couple of those myself, I can really identify with that. And here's one that was mentioned, I think, in my first video of the series. In what was destined to be a short-lived spectacle, a chicken suspended by a balloon floated through the Samurai bar's doorway. Yeah. And another recurring theme is cavemen. And this one particularly liked is a practical jokes of the Paleolithic. It's a guy stuffed into a snake tied to the back of a mammoth. You had to have been there. Another crime scene, nice play on the words here, so you can name the film it is referencing. "Look here, McGuinness, hundreds of bright copper kettles, warm woolen mittens, brown paper packages tied up with string. Someone was after a few of this guy's favourite things." Nice full colour one there, body's just over the bench at the back. Come on, you got to know where that's from. Another recurring one are scientists doing various things. And this one makes me crack up every time. "Professor Glickman, the lab practical joker, deftly placed a single drop of hydrochloric acid on the back of Professor Bingham's neck." And he just starts screaming. I like that one so much, it's ridiculous. Question: if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around and it hits a mime, does anyone care? Early corsages. Basically he's skewered a lizard with some flowers to a chest. I just love it. Another desert island. Another Acme crate washing up. This one's a sand blaster. The guy on the left is making a sand castle. On the other guy on the right discovers this crate going, "All right." And this cartoon is the reason why I always check the armrest when I get on an aeroplane. Fumbling for his recline button, Ted unwittingly instigates a disaster, because he has the switch that says whether the wings stay on or not. Yeah, I don't want to hit that one by accident. Now, I mentioned about we're going to come back to the King Kong one. Here we are, a few days following the King Kong incident. New Yorkers returned to business as usual. It's still got the chalk outline, but on this occasion, the chalk outline has a bunch of other smaller human-shaped chalk outlines where it landed. This one that tickles me as well. Ooh, you're right, Sir Dwayne. If I knock right here, I can make him start buzzing. Ooh, and he's angry. It's a knight sitting in his full armour, clearly with some sort of buzzing, flying, stinging thing within it. And he's looking less and less happy about the situation as his assistant is banging away at the armour. And occasionally there's someone that's just downright bizarre, but funny for it. Some wolves, their habitat destroyed and overwhelmed by human pressures, turn to snorting quack. And if that is not one of the most disturbing things you've ever seen, then well done. You've had a more interesting life than me. Now, following on to, I think, the previous book where we had a cow barbecuing burgers, being accused of being sick, we have a continuation of that theme. And this cow is saying, interesting, interesting. I'd say we taste like chicken. Yeah. Another crime scene. Struck from behind, all right. And from my first examination of the wound, I'd say this was done by some kind of heavy blunt object. I wonder what the murder weapon could have been. What do you think? The other thing I really appreciate is his spin on words. Is he's using normal language in a weird way. And so, for example, hey Lola, did you see this thing in the paper? Quite a normal thing to ask. Except when said thing is this green, squashed, bug-eyed, whatever it is. The action suddenly stopped while both sides waited patiently for the hornet to calm down. We're in the middle of a battle, but we're not going to risk getting stung by that. Never mind the arrows and swords and things. So there you go, that's some of the highlights from Gallery 5. Do you have a favourite cartoon from this volume? Or if you haven't already said so, what's your all-time favourite Gary Larson cartoon if you have one? Comments down below please, but as usual, if you've nothing else to say, then please keep it yourself. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe and other YouTube things if you want. And until next time, see you later.